Welcome to the third episode of Motorcycles in the Wild, where we explore bikes exactly as we find them, parked on the streets. Today we're taking a closer look at this Burgundy beauty from Bavaria, the BMW R80RT. This motorcycle belongs to BMW's well-known R series, built around the simple formula of a twin-cylinder boxer engine paired with a driveshaft. That setup has stayed surprisingly consistent over the decades. The R series has always favored continuity over constant reinvention, and in many ways you can trace a clear line from BMW's first motorcycles in the 1920s to the one we're looking at today. That long history has helped BMW build a loyal following of riders who appreciate technology that's been proven over time. New features like liquid cooling and variable valve timing have gradually made their way into the R lineup, but the core layout has stayed the same. It's arguably one of the defining features of BMW's identity, and a big reason why bikes like the BMW GS continue to be so popular. Many BMW riders cherish the distinctive character of the flat twin engine, including that trademark side-to-side shake at startup. The boxer engine also gives the bike a low center of gravity, enhancing stability and handling. With the cylinder heads positioned outwards, it's also easier to service than most other engines. The BMW R80RT is a good example of BMW's practical approach to engineering. Its 800cc 50 horsepower engine came from the BMW R80 GS, launched in 1980, and it was placed in the larger frame of the BMW R100RT, which had appeared shortly before. The result was a kind of hybrid that reflected BMW's building block principle, or Baukastenprinzip in German. The idea was straightforward: reuse engines, frames and other components across different models to create a broad lineup for different types of riders. BMW wasn't the first manufacturer to work this way, but few have applied the approach as consistently. It's still a key part of how the company develops its lineup of motorcycles today. Long-distance motorcycles have been around for a long time, but it is easy to forget how simple those early bikes were compared with today's big touring machines. When the Honda Goldwing first appeared in 1975, it wasn't much bigger than what riders then called a standard motorcycle and what we'd probably call a naked bike today. At the time, most manufacturers hadn't yet caught on to the demand for bikes built specifically for touring. Aftermarket companies like Feather Fairings stepped in instead, selling fairings and windscreens to riders who wanted more comfort on long trips. When BMW introduced the RT models in the late 1970s, they were among the first major manufacturers to take touring motorcycles seriously, meaning bikes designed from the ground up for long-distance riding. The RT's fairing was even developed in a wind tunnel, a remarkable claim for the time. Riders enjoyed better wind protection, a relaxed riding position, wide handlebars and standard hard panniers. Add to that a larger fuel tank, heated grips and a well-padded seat, and you have a motorcycle built for comfort on the open road. With the RT line, BMW fully leaned into the idea of the touring motorcycle as its own category. In doing so, it helped shape what a touring bike would look like for decades, right up to the latest version of the R1300RT introduced recently. The R80RT we're looking at came along at an important moment in that story, when dedicated touring bikes were just starting to take shape. It offered the kind of comfort that made it popular not only with private riders but also with people who spent long hours on a motorcycle for their work, like couriers and police officers. Around the world, police forces and emergency services adopted the bike as a reliable workhorse. Looking at this motorcycle, a few things immediately catch your eye. First, it's a big machine. The large front fairing dominates the view. The pinstriping on the upper fairing looks a little less precise than the striping on the tank, hinting that the fairing might have been repainted at some point. If that's the case, the person who hand-did the pinstriping deserves some credit. Even if it's not perfect, it reflects a level of craftsmanship you don't see very often anymore. Inside that big front fairing you'll find several instruments, including a voltmeter and a clock, which were probably both optional extras on the R80RT. There are also vents beneath the handlebars that let cooling air flow through the fairing. As for the design, there's no denying it feels a bit dated today. The bike was introduced in 1982, and its appearance barely changed during a very long production run that lasted until 1995. By the end of that period, its slightly baroque lines must have seemed old-fashioned, especially since the much more futuristic-looking K1 had already been around for several years. Even so, the R80RT still has a certain iconic look. For many people who grew up in the 1980s and 1990s, this is exactly what a BMW motorcycle looks like. In a way, it's the classic BMW silhouette, the image that comes to mind when you think of the brand. Even though these bikes are decades old, many BMW R80RT models are still on the road and show up on the used market. There are a couple of reasons for that. First, as part of the R series, they benefit from BMW's legendary build quality, giving them a solid, dependable foundation. Second, the people who bought them usually took great care of their bikes. Many of the R80RTs you see today are still in good shape because their original owners were hands-on riders who really cared for their machines. The user manual makes this clear, showing all the spare parts a rider was expected to carry on a long trip, assuming a level of mechanical self-reliance that's rare among riders today. I appreciate this motorcycle because it just keeps going, mile after mile, and in doing so it feels connected to a not-so-distant past, but its old-school design clearly comes from another era. It's a reminder of a time when things were built to last, and when sustainability wasn't a slogan, but simply the result of thoughtful design and solid German engineering.